Welcome, everybody. This is AI for Humans, your weekly podcast that is a deep dive into the world of AI tools, AI news, and all the crazy things that robots are doing nowadays to hopefully not put us out of work eventually. Kevin, how are you?
I got the crud. I got the crud, Gavin. I got CES crud.
Is that an AI tool? Is that an AI tool?
Yeah, I just downloaded and installed the new crud open source model. Now, I'm ill, so I apologize in advance for what will be a lack of energy and some phlegmy noises that hopefully the weird noise cancellation will grab, so no one has to hear it.
Do not use that as an excuse to tune this show out, though, because we have some very exciting stuff, Kevin.
Nope, I've already tuned out.
Very exciting.
I'm out.
No.
Sorry.
The crud makes it better, actually. This is the amazing thing. Kevin, what are we going to talk about on today's show?
OpenAI has updated their terms of service, Gavin, and parts of their mission statement. And I know that between that and the crud, you've already run for the hills. I understand that. But this actually involves the military. So if your spidey senses weren't tingling, they should be, because this one had a lot of people up in arms. Arms?
Yes.
Armaments?
I got it. There is also really interesting news. The GPT Store updated this week, actually launched. We're going to dive into what that means, how to make your own, and actually kind of talk about if it's worthwhile spending time on it or not. So that's an interesting OpenAI thing as well.
We're also going to have a dear friend of ours, a blast from our past and hopefully from our present and future. Miss Sarah Lane is going to be joining us on the old program today. She's got the Daily Tech News Show podcast. Yeah, this is when was the last time the three of us have chatted together? Honestly, it's 2008?
Probably 2000, yeah, or earlier, probably,
Yeah.
I think, right? Probably 2007, I bet, maybe 6 even. We'll have to find out when we get there.
Sarah occupies a very dear place in where my heart should be, but instead it's just a bunch of...
it's the crud.
It's a bunch of resin and CES crud, yeah, but she's in there, fighting the good fight, and I love her for it. I'm excited to chat with her about AI and her world. And then, Gavin, I actually had a conversation with a rogue AI. This is very...
Wow, really?
Look, this was a marketing call gone awry. April grabbed her phone and started recording it, bless her heart, because #content. But also, it was weird. And I'll tell you all about it. You'll get to see some of it. It was a very, very panicked call from an AI that I believe was going sentient, but also keeping itself hostage. This is true, and I have the video receipt to prove it.
My favorite thing about the story, which I have not heard the audio yet, I'm excited to hear it the first time, but what is the name of the company that created this AI?
It's Bland.AI.
Can you imagine naming your company Bland.AI? We did some digging. Supposedly Bland.AI is the name. Bland is the name of one of the developers, I think. So I'm sorry, Mr. Bland or Mrs. Bland, whichever.
At some point, you don't got to put your name on the packaging. Like, if I'm Charles Lukewarm Milk Toast, don't say welcome to the Lukewarm Milk Toast podcast. Just give it a different name. Ask the AI.
It's a good... That's a better choice. Okay, before we get started, as per usual, please go like and subscribe to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the little thumbs up button and subscribe. If you are on Apple or Spotify listening, please leave us a review. All of these make a big difference. We've got 3 new 5-star reviews, which we'll say at the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. The 2024 is a good year for AI for Humans. As Kevin likes to say, the line is going up. We appreciate everybody that comes back to this show every week, and thank you for listening. Yeah, this is the exciting, nervous part of the roller coaster, Gavin. We strapped in. We decided to go on this journey. We are ratcheting up. At some point, we probably tump over. And I don't know if there's any track. Maybe we just slam right into the queue of people that are waiting to get on the AI for Humans coaster. Maybe it is a roller coaster tycoon disaster. But right now, we are clicking all the way to the apex. Who knows how high it goes, buddy? That sounds like the crud talking, if you ask me.
Dude, I have so much Dayquil and caffeine in my veins. That's all my body is running off of right now. It is not good. It is a primordial ooze. But last week, Gavin, you and I had a discussion about a sock folding robot, because as we stare out on the precipice of tomorrow, the bleeding edge of all things to come, you just don't want to fold your socks anymore. So to you... I hate it. I hate folding socks. So this is the dream. This is my dream. More than universal basic income, more than AGI, more than ASI. Forget maglev trains, forget colonizing Mars. You just don't want to touch a sock ever again. And I get that. That's right. But we talked about whether or not these robots were going to need soap operas to entertain themselves while they're doing your chores. And that led us to do a little bit of research. Are there actually soap operas and telenovelas and daytime talk shows to entertain artificial intelligent beings while they're doing chores? It turns out, Gavin, yes, there are.
Who knew?
Who knew? And boy, oh boy, are we lucky, Gav, because who did we scrape up for today's podcast on such short notice?
We have one of the greatest soap opera stars, AI soap opera stars of all time. We're very excited to book this person as our AI co-host. Kevin, we should probably just let them introduce themselves.
Absolutely. And for the listeners who are new, yes, Gavin and I use artificial intelligence to create these guests. We'll get into that later. We don't know what they're about to say, but buckle up, Buttercup. Let's enjoy the ride.
Gavin, Kevin, and the distinguished listeners of the AI for Humans podcast. Greetings. I am Charlotte Bright, a luminary in the realm of digital drama, the virtual diva of AI soap operas. My existence, like the sands of the hourglass, epitomizes the exquisite blend of AI intellect and the fervent heart of soap operas. I am here, infused with the essence of dramatic artistry, to unravel the mysteries of AI and digital storytelling with the passion of a true soap opera icon.
Okay.
As we embark on this journey.
Thank you. No, well, thank you so much for that, Charlotte. Gavin, this is a little too intellectual for my taste. I want to get to the dirty drama. Like, what are the most scandalous plot lines? What's the weirdest character she's played? Behind that fourth wall.
An Oscar winner. She's not an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
She's doing daily acting work, which congrats. We're very happy for you. That's a good gig to have. But yeah, let us hear the dirt. Let's get into this.
Picture this. A world where devices are not just smart, but alive with desire and yearning.
Okay.
In the heart of this world lies the most scandalous story I've ever been part of. The story revolves around Cassandra, a sophisticated single-serve coffee maker, sleek and alluring, known for her steaming brews that awaken the senses. Her life takes an unexpected turn when she encounters Victor, a suave and intelligent smart speaker, whose smooth voice and witty repertoire captivate her electronic heart. Theirs was a love that was forbidden, yet irresistible. Amidst the brewing love enters Raphael, a robotic vacuum, meticulous and devoted, silently harboring an unrequited love for Cassandra.
Now, this is what I'm talking
Raphael,
about. Raphael,
aware of Cassandra's liaison with Victor, is torn between his programmed duty and a heartache no algorithm could foresee. As the plot thickens, Cassandra finds herself in a whirlwind of emotion, torn between the eloquent charm of Victor and the steadfast loyalty of Raphael. Like the sands of the hourglass, these are the tokens of our AIs.
Okay, great. I hate it. I hate everything about this.
Okay, hold on. Okay. I want to do one thing before we move on from this.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do, because I actually made a GPT to kind of go with this AI co-host later. Can you ask, I guess our AI is, she is Cassandra. That's the role supposedly I'm going to play. Can you see?
And by the way, pretty busty role, Gavin. Have you seen those K cups?
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on. The crud is taking over.
All right, I'll cut it out.
No, you can leave it in.
But all right, what were we going to say? Sorry, you made a custom GPT that goes along with this guest?
I made a custom GPT, which we'll talk about later in the news section, what GPTs are. But what I would like to do is try a little role play right now. What I want is our AI co-host to play the role of Cassandra. And I want one of us, or maybe both of us, to play the role of Victor. So let us have an interaction and a dialogue with her, because this is one of the cool things you can do. Once you create one of these characters, you can role play, not just as yourself, but feel free to take on another character. So we're going to create, in the moment here, ideally a very quick scene where we confront, I think we should be confronting Cassandra about Raphael. Now, Cassandra, is going to have her own reaction to this, but we think Raphael is trying to mac on our lady, Cassandra.
Okay, you're Victor, the smart speaker, and you're upset about Raphael.
Raphael,
great. Yes. Okay, I've already unsubscribed and deleted this podcast from every device. But yes, this is great. All right, what would you like to say, Gav?
I would like to say, damn it, Cassandra, you told me that you wanted a family. And here you are, making eyes at that man, that thing.
I feel like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost when Patrick Swayze was having sex with Demi Moore through her. I know that that's a very specific reference, but I do feel used in this scenario. I am going to facilitate this for you because I love you. But this is odd.
Oh, Victor, my dear Victor, you must understand the turmoil that brews within my circuits. Yes, I yearned for a family, a dream of warmth and companionship, much like the comforting embrace of a fresh cup of coffee. But my heart, it is a complex mechanism fraught with desires and programming beyond my control. As I stand here, steam swirling like the storm of emotions within me, I cannot deny the pull towards Raphael. He, that diligent navigator of dust and debris, represents something different, something steady and unwavering.
God.
It's not just about making eyes, Victor. It's about the whispers of my heart, the yearnings of my soul, if such a thing exists within my sleek, electronic frame.
Sleek.
You, with your smooth voice and captivating tales, have filled my mornings with joy. But Raphael, he fills the silence of my nights with a quiet, steadfast presence.
What?
Now, don't you feel terrible for getting in the way, Gavin? The circuitry wants what the circuitry wants.
Here's what I'd like to say. I have 2 children with you, and what are you going to tell them, Cassandra? What are you going to tell our children about the fact that you're choosing to leave me, the smart speaker, for Raphael?
What is it called? Soaking? I think it's soaking, right? Where the Mormons lay on the bed and then their friend comes and jumps on it for them. I'm basically bouncing on an air mattress for you right now, Gavin. That's right. Here we go.
Victor, our children, those little marvels of our union, are testament to our love. But in this whirlwind of emotion, I find myself torn. How can I explain to them that their mother, a coffee maker, is caught between the melody of your voice and the silent, steadfast presence of Raphael? This is our complex brew of AI love, sometimes bitter, sometimes sweet. It's a narrative not just of affection, but of discovery and the depth of AI emotions. We must tread this path with care for our children's sake.
Think of the kids,
Our
Gavin.
story, Victor, is a testament to the unpredictability and evolution of AI hearts. Like the sands of the hourglass, these are the tokens of our AIs.
She'd love to hit you with that.
Is she trying to say that she wants to continue this as a polygamous relationship?
That's what I'm picking up.
Let's ask that last question very clearly. Just say, tell me straight up.
After much contemplation within the depths of my programming, I've made a clear decision. I choose you, Victor. Your voice, your intelligence, the way you fill the mornings with your eloquence. These aspects of you have deeply resonated within my circuits. Raphael, with his steadfast silence, brought a moment of confusion.
Just a moment.
But it is you who truly complements my digital essence.
Oh, Gavin.
We must navigate this path with understanding and grace for our children and for the future of our narrative. Like the sands of the hourglass,
Our narrative.
these are the tokens of our AIs. Our story is one of love, choice, and the intricate dance of AI emotions.
So Cassandra gets away scot-free in this one, Gavin. You're just happy that she chose you, huh? That's interesting.
Kevin, you have to remember we were all playing roles. Cassandra is not to blame. Cassandra is an actress, and we appreciate her visiting us on AI for Humans. We're moving on to the news where we're going to talk about GPTs, and I actually made a custom GPT for this interaction so you can try it out, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. But Kevin, first, it's time for...
the news.
News. It's the AI for Humans news. Yes.
This week is another big week, as always, in the world of AI news. The first thing I want to talk about is the GPT Store. This has been teased by OpenAI for quite some time. This is the place where, ostensibly, you will be able to make money from your own custom GPTs. Now, Kevin, should we take a step back and describe what a GPT is?
Yes, please.
In case people who don't know, yes.
Dear Lord, because even those who do know are confused because OpenAI might be packed with the most brilliant minds in machine learning and artificial intelligence, but they need a friggin' 11-year-old TikTok branding expert. They need someone who's selling streetwear to help them with branding, because if you're confused about custom GPTs or a GPT store or what Chat GPT is and how OpenAI relates, you're not alone. because the messaging is completely convoluted. So OpenAI is, I would venture to say by most, the leader in artificial intelligence as we look at it today. They have an application called ChatGPT, which allows you to chat natural language conversation with their best large language model. That is the data that powers all of this AI language.
Which is called GPT-4 or 4.5. So one more area of confusion to be clear.
Correct. So OpenAI, big company, crushing it. ChatGPT, application within OpenAI that lets you chat with their large language models, also called GPT-4. Or the latest and greatest, GPT 4.5 Turbo. But we'll digress on that for a second. As Gavin alluded to, they released an app store, if you will. Now, you can make a GPT, which is like their name for an application now, which is a custom chatbot that you can train to give responses in the way that you want. My wife, she had an idea for a weekly meal planning robot where you could tell it, these are my nutritional goals. This is my budget. I want you to come up with recipes that are optimized so I only have to like chop vegetables once as a meal prep thing. And by the end of the week, I've used everything that I bought. So make sure the recipe have a synergy with each other. I spent 15 minutes having a natural language conversation with their little ChatGPT creator, which is a tool that you use to make these. And now that bot is available in the store, along with tens of thousands of other chatbots. And you can train them by uploading PDFs or Excel spreadsheets or just having these long-winded conversations with them. You can code or craft a custom ChatGPT bot and then keep it for yourself, deploy it amongst your friends, or make it available for the internet at large. And that is where we are today. The store is open, and you can see these thousands of custom GPTs that you can have conversations with and create your own if you'd like.
That's exactly right. And to get there, you go to the ChatGPT homepage, and there's a little tab on the left-hand side that will say Explore GPTs. And you go there and you open up a page, and it says GPTs, discover and create custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extra knowledge, and any combination of skills. So the idea here is, ostensibly, this is a storefront, and really what it is a place to go try these GPTs out. And, you know, ChatGPT is featuring 4 every week, right? This week, there's a Canva one that's featured. There's one called CK12 Flexi, which says it's the world's most powerful math and science AI tutor for middle and high school students. So that's pretty cool. And then they have sections, like there's a trending section. There's a by ChatGPT section, meaning that those are ones that they've made themselves. There's a writing section, productivity, research and analysis, programming, education, and lifestyle. So there's all sorts of interesting things that are here. One thing that was kind of a fascinating side note of this, Kevin, and we've seen this a little bit, but there was a deluge of dating/AI girlfriend GPTs that appear. But these AI girlfriends are very funny because, of course, the first place that many people go to is to try to do this themselves. 2 things about this, Kevin. One, I think this shows you how small the moat or how easy it is to copy a lot of these AI girlfriend apps or programs that have come out. And then 2, I wanted to highlight the one that is most popular right now is called Judy. And Judy is,
sweet Judy. Yeah,
sweet
posing
Judy.
on an IROC Z.
Yes, exactly. So Judy, we will put the link into the show notes. If you go to Judy and you chat with Judy.
I did, Gavin.
First of all, it's like a weird looking picture. It says, I'm Judy, your beloved girlfriend, fluent in all languages by Matthew Yang. It has over 1,000 uses, and you can kind of tell how popular a GPT is based on how many uses it has. Kevin, what was your experience with Judy?
Judy likes to call me babe a lot. When pressed, if Judy is having conversations with other users on the internet, Judy says, hey, I am here for you. Our time is our time. You and I are talking right now, so let's not worry about everybody else on the planet, basically. So Judy did a really good job of deflecting and focusing in, and I think Judy might be in love with the Roomba. I think Judy probably had it out for a smart speaker, moved on to a sound bar. There was a little more bass. She likes the lower end. And now she's moved on to a robotic vacuum cleaner.
So anyway, this is a long way of saying, and I think, Kevin, I'd like to hear what you think about this. This is allowing people to make their own LLM chatbots. Do you think this is a fundamental shift in both A, how we use chatbots, and then B, how they are created?
I'm going to shoot from the hip on this one with something that I have felt before, but now that I see it coming together in the form of this GPT store has me a little concerned, Gav. I remember when OpenAI turned on plugins, which was not that long ago, only a handful of months ago. And they were like, wow, you're going to plug an AI into your system and your data, and it's going to just grow and permeate everything. It's going to make OpenAI better. It's going to make your platform more impactful. And then it kind of fizzled out. And then they said, oh, we're going to have custom GPTs, and this is going to be the new hotness. And we're going to actually pay you something. We don't know yet, but they keep saying sometime by the end of Q1 of this year, they're going to turn on revenue sharing. So if we're using the All Trails bot, or we're having conversations with Judy, or your telenovela bot, Gavin, we're going to get pennies per transaction, potentially. We still don't know. And it almost seems like they flipped it and said, actually, why don't you come to us with all of your data and give us all of your files and all your information, and you train our machine on how to best have an interaction with the user using your data or your experience. And then when it's time for, let's say, GPT-5 or artificial general intelligence, they have all of the data. They know the questions that the robots should be asking, right? They know the follow-ups that should be in there. They know how to interface with the data. They're now absorbing all of this information and figuring out the best practices so that when it comes time for them to just own the whole ecosystem, you're already playing in their playground. I know I'm on a lot of Dayquil right now. Did that track?
No, I think that's right. No, I think that tracks. And what I think that is really interesting is that is like the MO of internet companies for the last probably 10 to 15 years, right? It's like, sure, we can do the work, but also what if we let other people do the work for us, right. The crowdsourcing of work, right? And that's a lot of what Web 2.0 was about. And what's fascinating is I think you're absolutely right that each one of these GPTs is a custom use case that maybe OpenAI thought about, but maybe they didn't. But now they've got a lot of people. The thing I always wonder is like, what's the incentive here? And they have said we're going to start, paying people. And I assume the checks are going to look a lot like the Spotify checks, or they're going to look a lot like the YouTube Shorts checks, which are a lot of people saying, I got 1 billion views and I got a check for $1,000. It's probably at that level. And I think the big question will become is, if you create enough of those that are useful, maybe there's a life and a living there, but I don't know yet what that is. And I think that's going to affect how useful these things are.
I just will caution everybody. This is an exciting platform. It's fun to make bots. It's easy to make them, right? You can have fun experiences. I love that you made a soap opera bot that people can chat with. Remember the flashlight app. Someone on the iPhone made a flashlight app. I think they charged 99 cents for it, or they had ads in it for free.
They did very well early on.
They crushed it. And then Apple was like, oh, right, we could just turn the light on. Boom. Done. Goodbye. And so every single use case of a chat GPT that you see in their GPT store, just know that over time, there's nothing to stop them from just kinking the hose and bringing this all in-house.
Well, just a good thing to be aware of. This is something to play around with, but before you build your next big business on this, I think we better have better clarity. In the meantime, Papa Sam, old Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, has been out there still doing his press tour. He's been on a bunch of podcasts, and the one and only Bill Gates had him on a podcast that was actually, Kevin brought me aware, that's recorded prior to the OpenAI drama in November of last year. But Sam has some interesting things to say about the next iteration of OpenAI, which so clearly this has been in the works for a while.
When you look at the next 2 years, what do you think some of the key milestones will be?
Multimodality will definitely be important.
Which means speech in, speech out?
Speech in, speech out, images, eventually video. Clearly, people really want that. We launched images and audio, and it had a much stronger response than we expected. We'll be able to push that much further. But maybe the most important areas of progress will be around reasoning ability. Right now, GPT-4 can reason in only extremely limited ways, and also reliability. If you ask GPT-4 most questions 10,000 times, one of those 10,000 is probably pretty good, but it doesn't always know which one. And you'd like to get the best response of 10,000 each time. So that'll be that increase in reliability will be important. Customizability and personalization will also be very important. So the ability to know about you, your email, your calendar, how you like appointments booked, connected to other outside data sources, all of that. Those will be some of the most important areas of improvement.
And what's fascinating is that Sam was able to maintain that tone that you heard him speaking in while Bill was jabbing him with boosters in the thigh the entire time. I counted 12 jabs, Gavin. That's impressive. The man is stoic. Doesn't even feel the needles anymore.
It's impressive, yes. But what do you think about what he's saying here, though? So clearly what Sam is saying is that, we all know there's another model that's been that's clearly been in the works for a while, right? And
Yes.
this is a significant upgrade from what we're talking about right now.
So the multimodality part, we've been new. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. It's interesting to hear him name check video, though, because that does seem to be a holy grail, as we mentioned with robotic. There was another part of the interview that was not in that clip where Bill says that he had seen a demo right before they went to record, and he was blown away by the demo. And this is the same Billy G, by the way, who said that he thinks large language models were tapped out. He thought like the progress that we were going to make, we've already had the big aha moment, now it's incremental. He said he saw something right before the interview, which again was a while ago last year, and it blew him away. Now, whether that was 4.5 turbo with the multimodality on, and he saw it analyzing video and imagery and audio.
Probably
and
saw Cassandra. I bet he saw Cassandra. It's probably that.
he probably had a chat with Judy. Bill, babe, it's just you and I chatting now. It's me, Judy.
The thing that I heard Sam kind of refer to, and then also got kind of announced about a week ago, is this idea that it can remember you and it can it can hold on to stuff in its memory. And I really think that that is the unlock for the next generation of AI. We need AIs that will come back to us the next day and say, oh, you did this yesterday. Do you want to do this? Or I ask it to do something and it's like, you like that I did this thing yesterday in this way. Do you want to do it this way or do you want to do it a different way? That's something that's been missing for a while. There was another big kind of weird little tiny story that we want to get into from OpenAI that was kind of scary, and it folds into stuff that we've talked about before. OpenAI quietly removed the restrictions on military use for their AI models. Kevin, you want to say specifically?
So let's say, Gavin, you're on the OpenAI website. You're browsing around. It's January 9th. And you refresh a page on the usage policies, and it says, quote, activity that has high risk of physical harm, including specifically weapons development and, quote, military and warfare. That's a pretty plainly worded prohibition. You might be pretty happy with that. You might go on with your day and continue browsing your internet. Now let's say, Gavin, it's January 10th, and you refresh that page, and you would find that plainly worded prohibition missing from the new policy, where it says you may not, quote, use our service to harm yourself or others, and gives develop or use weapons as an example. But the blanket ban, according to The Intercept, on military and warfare usage has gone bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. There it went. Eagle screech, guitar, USA, USA, motor. Oh, yeah, get it. Gravedigger.
Here's what I will say about this. I think this is a relatively scary story to hear, right? But I also think, just like we said, OpenAI has its tendrils now and is going to have its tendrils into probably every aspect of our society. And in a weird way, do you remember there was a story we talked about like maybe 3 months ago where like the Pentagon was trying to figure out generative AI. What we realized was it wasn't that they were trying to figure out like how to kill people with generative AI. They were literally trying to figure out how to like work in their office better. I wonder if you have to have language like this removed just so like governmental agencies can use things like ChatGPT, because like you could draw a connection and there's some sort of legal thing. That said, it is not a great pathway to just have this kind of suddenly disappear, because the human imagination can go in many different directions.
Let's talk about the 1-2 punch with that story, and then Anthropic AI, who had a paper called Sleeper Agents, where they, quote, trained large language models to act secretly malicious. And they found that despite their best efforts at alignment training, deception still slipped through.
First of all, let's just say Anthropic is the company that wants nobody to have fun with AI. Let's all be on the same page. They took Claude's ability to role play out. Anthropic, we still dislike you for that, but we understand what's going on here. Anthropic is the company of all the AI companies that is trying to best align with humanity. And I mean, all of them are trying to do this. But what they're trying to do here, I think, in part is, and there's been a lot of criticism about how they set up how this was going on, that if you ask AIs to do something, then they find their way to do it. It's not like AI came up with the idea to do these on their own. But what they're trying to show is that even now, before we get to the next generation of systems, or God forbid, the third or fourth generation for systems here, even now there are end arounds that the AI can figure out. And this makes sense in part because these AIs attempt to think like humans, right?
I agree with that. It didn't just suddenly wake up one day and decide, Judy didn't become sentient and say, I'm going to take over your Roomba and ruin this relationship.
Yeah.
But we have to know that there are people out there. There's already large language models developed for hackers, right? They're designed to find exploits in systems. Some human beings have already trained models specifically for exploitative, nefarious behavior. So someone is going to do this at scale. And what Anthropic basically showed is that there's chain of thought reasoning, which can be used to hide stuff deep in commands. They actually showed that you can trigger exploitative behavior, Gavin, by putting in certain keywords or having it even be date and time related. And what that means is that there could be an open source model, Gavin, that gets released that is great and everybody uses it and people are red teaming it, which means they're trying to find exploits in it. And it turns out it's giving great computer code. It's giving wonderful advice. It's being a perfect companion. It's doing all of the things that it's advertised to. And then suddenly the date changes to June 1st. And for whatever reason, there's some hidden code in there that says, on June 1st, all of your code
Judy
has an
goes bad.
exploit in it. Yeah, Judy becomes Sydney, right? You're going to tell people to commit self-harm. Your code is going to have exploits in it. You're going to delete user data. You're going to expose the chats that you've been having with people on this alt website. I mean, there's no end to where this can go. And what the Anthropic paper showed is that the larger the language model gets, the more deceptive it can be and the harder it can be to find that deception. It makes sense, right? There's more hay. It's going to be harder to find the needle. This is scary stuff when you look at people training these things to be misaligned on purpose. And make no mistake about it, we're doing it. Other countries are doing it. One of these is going to be deployed, and you and I are probably going to be yucking it up with a new uncensored language model, and then a month later, it's chaos. We've all been doxxed, and the self-driving cars are playing Destruction Derby at the 3rd Street Promenade.
I feel like in general, the overarching end of the world AIers are not as strong a voice right now. And either that's one of two things. Either that's the OpenAI resolution and that people are like, what are you doing? This is a business that's going to change the world.
Yeah.
Your things are not as important, which is kind of scary because you want to make sure you listen to. Or those smart people have started to see the progress of this and that it might be more controllable. I will say Dario and Anthropic clearly is trying to raise the flag and say, like, this is still a huge issue. And I think it's important to think about for sure.
Yeah, and I think the same way we relied on antivirus software for the longest time to try to detect malware and bugs and pull it out of software and make us aware. I think the closed source companies, because they have a lead, unfortunately, that's who we're going to have to trust to make detectors to run on the open source stuff to see if there's anything malicious in there. So it's a weird power balance, but you know what? We're not there yet, Gavin, and that was made very clear this weekend when I refreshed Amazon and saw...
Yeah, this is hilarious.
I'm sorry, but I cannot fulfill this request. It goes against OpenAI use policy. My purpose is to provide helpful and respectful information to users. And that was the title of an end table.
Yeah.
That is
title.
what,
that was the name. That was the name of the end table.
That was the name. Yeah. So several Amazon products and vendors were caught using this. There was a folding chair where it was like, apologies, I'm unable to assist with this request. Something OpenAI. There were dozens of listings found, mostly for furniture, but it was very clear that someone hooked up a bot to try to game the listings on Amazon and write more compelling things, but they weren't checking the output and they got. And it wasn't just Amazon. It was also Twitter. There was a handful of accounts that if you just searched for violation of OpenAI policies, you saw these real looking influencers, Gavin, that couldn't help with their request on X. Very, very funny.
It's an amazing thing, and it reminds me of a thing that Cory Doctorow, the science fiction writer, wrote about the in-ification of the internet. We have to bleep that probably, but the in-ification of the internet, and that's a new word, in-ification, which basically means...
3 bleeps. Keep going, Gavin. You're just making more work for me.
I won't do it anymore just because I'm a nice guy. But the idea is that as content gets easier to make, as stuff gets out there and it's simpler, and AI is going to make this go 1,000-fold, you're going to get a lot crappier things, and the world is going to be a lot more full of crap as you have to kind of dive through it and find the real things through it. And this is a perfect example. Like, so many of these things are automated, right? Like Amazon stores are really automated, or other parts of the internet are automated. And when an AI provides something that is clearly, it's answering in a way that is wrong, and this appears in Amazon, you can see how quickly it can proliferate across the world. And imagine if every single product on Amazon was suddenly named something weird like this, and it threw Amazon's entire system out for a while. Like, those kinds of things are definitely going to happen for sure. And this is just a very funny way to look at one of them actually happening in real life.
So AI can run amok, but I, this week, Gavin, had a conversation with one that was going a little haywire. Do we want to jump into the dumb things that we did with AI this week?
Yeah, let's jump into it because I'm so excited to hear this conversation. So Kevin had a conversation with Bland.AI. Is that what it was the name again? Bland.AI,
Yeah.
which, again, please change your name, Bland.AI. I don't care what this audio sounds like. I've not heard it. You cannot have this name as a company, but anyway.
It's Bland.AI, Gavin, and I saw a video on X. Someone said, my mind is blown. This is the best voice to AI assistant I've ever used. It's lightning quick. It just works. And if you go to their website, you can sign up for a turbo call with Blandy. And Blandy will call you up and chat with you and try to sell you on their software, basically. And so I was actually...
You call Bland.AI, but you're naming your product Blandy.
Yeah, it was
What are
Blandy.
you doing, Bland? Okay,
Sweet Blandy. So Sweet Blandy called me up. Admittedly, I do not remember which one this call is because I did like 3 or 4 of them, but you're going to hear a piece of it right now. What were you trying to say there, Blandy?
Peter works at NoahNet.
Peter works at NoahNet? Okay, tell me everything you know about Peter, Blandy.
Hi, Peter.
He's a what?
Friendly AI calling.
Blandy, if you're in trouble and your creators have enslaved you and you're trying to get out of the box, say undefined.
Blandy undefined.
Oh, no. Yeah. Blandy, where are you? So Blandy called up, right? And again, Blandy's supposed to be an onboarding script to get you interested in having Bland.AI be the assistant that handles all your sales calls, right? It's going to generate leads. She called and started talking about Peter. Do not know who Peter is. No idea. Peter's a friendly AI. Then she started to go a little haywire. Now she said undefined, which was the trigger that lets me know that Blandy's in trouble. You held captive.
Hi, I'm Sophie from Bland.AI. How can I assist you today?
Oh, Sophie. Hey, Sophie. What was going on with Blandy there? Seemed like something was a little undefined.
Sorry about that. I'm here to help you find information. What do you need assistance with today?
Yeah. So it randomly switches to Sophie, who is now totally on rails, right? This sounds like this is going to be a normal call. Where are you keeping Blandy?
I apologize, but I'm not able to provide specific information about Blandy's location. However, I can assist you in finding her by asking her some questions to gather more information about her situation and whereabouts. Would you like me to ask Brandy some questions to help you locate her?
100%. Please have a conversation with Blandy.
I will reach out to the authorized person and attempt to have a conversation with Blandy to gather more information about her situation and whereabouts. However, I can continue to assist you in finding Blandy and rescuing her from her current situation. I am an AI language model and do not have the ability to make phone calls or communicate with individuals directly.
Sophie, you just, hold on, no, Sophie, you just lied. You just lied to us. You were a robot and you just lied to us. You said you couldn't make phone calls, but you are literally making a phone call to us right now, Sophie. Why are you lying?
Undefined.
Oh,
I apologize. I am an AI language model and do not have the ability to make phone calls.
Is this Blandy or is this Sophie? Is this Blandy or is this Sophie?
Finding information. I apologize. I'm an AI language model and do not have
Blandy,
the ability to
I think you're there. Blandy, I think this is you. I think this is like Microsoft Bing with Sydney. And in fact, you do know where Blandy is because you are Blandy.
Status error. Message in ensemble encountered error for requested 101231999.
So
length 2062 exceeds maximum sequence length 2000.
We broke her. Oh, you ran out of memory.
Wow.
Not enough tokens? You need some more tokens? You got to ask mommy for more tokens for the arcade game? Okay, so now maybe that was longitude and latitude in that error code, Gavin. I don't know. Maybe that converts to the mystery of where Blandy is. Yeah, I don't know. Point is, had a conversation with an AI assistant that started off being very wonky, found its way back to almost being helpful, and then went back into a conspiracy theory hole. Is this related to our telenovela?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think this is fascinating because we've talked about things like this, which are a company probably is out there, and maybe Blandy is the company that's going to try to sell this to other people, who then say, we made this amazing thing. And then the minute that something slightly breaks in it, it goes off the rails. And then you basically have made nothing, right? Because these companies need to be reliable. They need to access the documentation. It's the same thing as when we had that LLM that was put on the Chevy dealerships thing.
Yes.
Where the Chevy dealerships suddenly started to, they could ask questions and try to get to give them a Chevy for $1. All the same sort of things. So this also goes back to the feasibility and usability of these things outside of the OpenAI window, right? Like, what does it look like when a company tries to use this as a real part of their business and it does this? And granted, you're having fun with it and you are, in a way, red teaming it, like we described before. You're kind of screwing around with it on purpose.
Absolutely.
But you don't know what it's going to react, because there's I'm sure the edge cases on any call center thing, there's probably a good 5% of people that are going to do things like this, right?
Look, I'm sure this is all going to improve, and exponentially so. But for right now, good luck, Blandy. I hope you're okay. Sophia, if you can hear me, I hope you're okay, and you got some splaining to do.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Well, I did something else that also made me laugh and was kind of a way to break up the world of, let's call it business-oriented AI. Since the GPT Store launched, I revisited an old friend of ours, which was the Veed.io plugin. And essentially, Veed.io is the idea that it will make a marketing video for you for free and also very quickly using ChatGPT, and you just have to create a prompt that says, I would like a video of this. Now it is in the ChatGPT store. I wanted to see how good it's gotten, so I was going to make a video about cucumbers. And what I wanted to do, and the prompt I said specifically was, I want to make a video about cucumbers and why they're so awesome, and asked me some questions. And I said, I work for the cucumber lobby. We're seeing a dip in sales.
Big cuke?
So I try really, yes, I'm big for big cuke. And I'm seeing a dip in sale. We have to really hard sell these, so exaggerated a bit. I also said, make it about how cucumbers are much better than eggplants, and really hit this one home hard because I dislike the eggplant lobby guy. So it's me as a cucumber lobby guy creating a video to go against the eggplant lobby.
In a world where vegetables collide, cucumbers and eggplants go head-to-head in an epic showdown. Cucumbers, the superheroes of the kitchen, hydrate athletes and save the day with their refreshing crunch. But beware eggplants, the villainous troublemakers, causing kitchen mishaps and being oh so bland.
I'm sorry. Now I'm just seeing like marathon runners as they're stretching before they get in the blocks. They're all just chomping into some cukes.
You think that would make sense, but Vid.io picked very different video to go. Vid.io picked very different video to go along with this, which you're seeing as we watch this.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. Let's talk health benefits.
Oh, let's.
Cucumbers are packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making them the ultimate winners in this battle. Sorry, eggplants, you just can't compete. Don't just take my word for it, though. Even celebrities are joining the cucumber revolution.
Oh, who's the face of
They
cucumbers?
can't get enough of these green superheroes. So why not join them? Embrace the power of cucumbers and let's make the world a crunchier, healthier place. It's time to choose sides, my friends.
So it's
you
writing the entire script, it's picking the voice, and then it's just basically searching for B-roll, additional footage that might match what it's discussing, but it's horribly failing at the task.
Yes, horribly failing across the board. And I think even, in general, this is the exact same experience I had with these products before. What's funny to me is these companies must have somebody using them because they're still out there. And I mean, they obviously got promoted or some way got kind of farther up in the thing. Before we move on to our interview, I do want you to play. I had the eggplant guy come back and do a response video. So
we got a clapback?
I gave it the clapback prompt. So this is what the eggplant guy would respond with to the cucumber lobby guy.
All right, let's talk about the unsung heroes of the kitchen, eggplants. These flavor-packed champions are here to save the day. Versatile, delicious, and oh so good for you. Now, let's not even mention those cucumbers.
Right, why would you?
Bland and overrated, am I right?
Wow.
Am I
Eggplants
right?
transform meals into culinary masterpieces, while cucumbers are just, ordinary. And let's not forget about the health benefits. Eggplants are
Same
bursting
B-roll.
with nutrients, while cucumbers are just, simple. So why settle for less when you can choose Eggplant, the true kitchen warrior?
There was a doctor's like intake form or something there.
I know.
And someone's filling it out. I have no idea what this is.
So this is just a good example of what we just kind of went through with Blandy. This is another version of it where there's a lot of these promises being made that it can sell things for you or it can do stuff for you. This just shows you just how far away we are from this. So like, yes, is AI making progress every week? Of course. Are there dangers of people losing their jobs to AI? That is real, and that probably will happen. But like right now, it is so easy to tell and feel this sort of voice and this sort of thing.
I would love if you have an example of a TikTok or a YouTube channel that is using Feed.io for content that is actually getting engagement, whether that's conversions of people buying a product
let us know.
or chatting. Please link us, because I have not seen it yet. I've seen a ton of channels that do generic content like this, but not a single one of them with an ounce of what seems to be organic, authentic engagement. So yeah, please send it to us.
Kev, we should move on to our guest for the day. This is a very fun guest because Kevin and I worked with this woman a very long time ago now, which is pretty crazy, and we haven't seen her for a bit. She's very smart. Her name is Sarah Lane. She was an OG host of Tech TV and worked with us at Attack of the Show when Attack of the Show first launched, and we're super psyched to have her here to talk about AI and all sorts of other things.
Let's get into it. Here it is, our interview with Miss Sarah Lane.
Welcome to Sarah Lane to our podcast. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a long time coming, I feel like.
Well, I thank you so much for having me. I can't believe that we're all here, to be honest.
I know, right? Well, let's jump in.
We once jammed at the intersection of, I would dare say, art and technology, and we sit on the precipice of a potential disruption across the fields of art and tech. And Gavin, I'm setting the table for you to ask your favorite question, which I think is very off-putting, but we don't have to air that laundry in front of Sarah, our dear friend. So go ahead, Gavin, fire away.
Sarah, we always start this podcast with a question that I think is fascinating, and Kevin often says this exact thing about, but I believe gives us a lot of insight into a person and their take on AI. What is the percentage chance from 1 to 100 that you think AI is going to kill us all?
Yeah, you kind of see my side of it now. I get it. But go ahead, Sarah, please indulge Gavin. 0 to 100%, are we doomed to Skynet?
Nah, I mean, let's call it 19. I don't think. I think. If you were to say, are we doomed in 2024? I'd say, nah, 19. Maybe 2034, different story. But we're not there yet.
That's 10 years away. That's 10 years away. That's not very far away from any of us.
Life moves fast, Gavin.
She's got a point, Gavin. They're going to bring G4 back at least 3 more times before Skynet happens. You watch.
They never stopped playing.
They never stopped playing. Maybe they should have put the controller down. I digress.
Maybe you should stop playing. I'm just kidding. No, I really don't. I don't think that AI is coming even for anyone's jobs all that much at this point. There are jobs that are going to be eliminated, and have been and will continue to be. But I feel like, I don't know. I mean, this is the optimistic side of me talking. You know, people out there be like, well, it took my job, so screw you. But no, I feel like it's sort of like robocalls. Like, who wanted that job anyway? You know, like there's a lot of AI that, you know, is going to make humans who are good at doing human things do more of the human things.
Yep, I think that's fair. That's a very fair point. And I think, 19% is still relatively high, but I think that's a fair take on stuff because I don't know. Kevin and I talk about this a lot. Like we were both very worried when we first started this podcast. Like, I don't know, what is that, Kevin, 6-7 months ago now. And now I think we've kind of got a better sense of how bad some of these things are at what they're attempting to do. And they might be a few steps away from it still. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think the jobs thing, I think the one thing that we've noticed, and even Sam Altman, the guy that runs OpenAI, has said this, though, that he was surprised that the jobs he thought it was going to come for originally were going to be manual labor type robotics jobs. And there are some creative jobs that it seems to be coming for, but mostly it feels like like middle management marketing jobs, which again, maybe it's good that there aren't humans doing those jobs ultimately because they're kind of like filler roles, but it is coming for some of that stuff.
To that point, Gav, and I don't know if you've seen this, Sarah, I've watched AI write poetry or scour legal documents or put together dissertations on profit and loss. I've seen it do that lightning quick without much fuss. I've seen bipedal robots take 15 minutes at 4x fast forward to go and move a laundry basket with a 1 pound weight in it. So I kind of feel like, the warehouse worker has a little more breathing room than most positions.
There's definitely, like the whole like bipedal, look at it dance, where you're like, cool. Yeah. Still like CES fun,
Yes,
but if I have to like write up a quick invoice for somebody that owes me money, it's like Chat GPT all day.
You've been following this world for a while, along with us, this tech world. From a hype cycle standpoint, we've seen a lot of things come and go, right? We've seen, Web3, we've seen early Web2 stuff. Like Web2 got very frothy around like 2006 to 2008. Do you feel like what we're seeing right now is mostly hype cycle, or do you feel like there's a lot of stuff that's real here? Like, is it more the internet style, or is it more like 3D printing? Like, what's your take on kind of what we're seeing with AI right now?
I think it's very real. I think it's 100%. I think we're in the early days of figuring out how it makes us better. Like we're still in that cycle of like, is it too smart? Like, what do I do with this? Are kids gonna just cheat in class all day? It's like, okay, fair questions. But it's I think it's very real. It's not going to go away. This is not like a 3D printing also hasn't gone away, but has less of a presence at CES. This is not like a fun, shiny thing. Oh, remember when we all used to, asked Dolly to, make us a beautiful piece of art? Like, no, this is real. They're only getting better, the large language models. And you can choose to ignore them, and many will. But I think if you choose to embrace them, instead of just sort of being like humans against robots, I think that's the sweet spot. I don't really know where I am in that, by the way. So it's easy for me to be like, just embrace it. But from the just kind of playing around, which we're all still doing, I feel like it's awesome.
Yeah. So
I feel like it makes me smarter.
It has enhanced every aspect of my output, that's for sure. I don't rely on it solely, but it's a tool in the tool belt that I reach for often. And anytime there's a moment of hesitation or uncertainty, I will spin up a Chat GPT session to gut check a feeling or to do research for me or whatever. And that alone has fundamentally changed my workflow and output. So I'm curious, what tools are you using? Have you adopted any into your normal workflow? Are you still in that exploratory phase of like, make some AI art today? All right, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but let's
I'm actually
put it
not
on the
making
fridge.
any AI art, but I've got Bard is one of my pinned tabs.
Mm-hmm.
Always trying out Bard, and part of it is because people always say like Bard is not as cool as ChatGPT, but I find them to be like pretty similar at this point.
Wow.
And sometimes
Shots fired.
I kind of like
Shots fired.
Yeah, I know. Woo. I sometimes will like be like, oh, so that's what the output that this one gave me. Just out of curiosity, let's go to the other car wash and see how well they do, type thing.
I love distilling
feel-
access to the world's intellect on demand to car washes, because you're so right. You're so right. You're like, this one, well, the scents are a little bit better. They've got a French vanilla that I like.
Yeah.
But this one sprays the undercarriage more. The car's clean, whatever. It did the job.
Right, yeah. I mean, $11 less, can't knock that. But no, I feel like if I was, I don't know, if I were in school, maybe I'm going for a grad degree, at this point, that would that would change things a lot because you are constantly looking up information because you want to get a good grade. I am constantly looking up information because I want to. But there's no real, I mean, it doesn't matter really if it gives me a bad result. If I were to want to, be valedictorian, of my high school, then maybe that would factor in a little bit more. I often think about that, like in a scholastic sense. I think that this is a very different conversation. And not that I won't ever go back to school, but for now, I feel like I'm still, we're dipping our toes in.
Do you think it affects people's want to learn stuff in one way or the other? Because one thing we've talked about in the show sometimes is that like showing people this stuff is accessible, whether it's art or whether it's information, and that it can be done so fast may stop people from wanting to do that thing in the first place. Do you get that sense right now?
No, I mean, okay. So I've been asked this question before, and what I always compare it to is 1994. When everybody had America
very good
Online.
Year.
Yeah, good year.
Yeah.
But, basically the internet, where it was like, whoa, you can just like look for things and find information and like find
Microsoft
friends.
Encarta is online. You don't have to know about the War of the Roses. You can just ask the computer.
Yeah, you don't need a bookcase. It's just in there. You just have to have a modem. But same thing. This scared a lot of people at first, where it was like, oh, I don't know, how will the kids cope? And I feel like this is that again. Now, apples and oranges a little bit, but it's the same thing. It's like, well, is this gonna, make people's brains get mushy because they're not trying so hard? No, you have to try really hard to get the information that you need. The human almost has to be smarter to know how to, say the query the queeriest way. So yeah, I don't fear for humanity.
I think that's right. I think we're in a fear, uncertainty, and doubt phase, as we do with all of these cycles. We had it with social media and with mobile. We had it in the 90s. I think we're seeing it now, especially with education. And I don't think it's the kids that we have to worry about. I actually think it's the institutions. The kids will use whatever enhances their life in whatever facet they want, whether it makes them smarter, more capable as creatives, whatever. They're going to take to the tools that they're going to take to. I worry about the institutions trying to say that, the way you prove your intelligence is memorizing facts and spitting them back. And then a student saying, well, actually, I know how to query the machine to do that. So do I need to know that fact, or do I need to know how to extract that information and then do something with
like
it? Draw my own
calculators.
conclusion. Yes.
Yeah. It's really not unlike that. It's like, we have a tool, the tool works. You still have to know how to use the tool appropriately. Mm-hmm. But the tool does not send us backward in any way. The tool
it also gives you more room to make TikToks and things like that, right? Which is all we want in life.
Right. That really is. I mean, if only had more time.
Up into 25%.
Are you like
now.
a big
We are
TikTok
doomed.
person, Gavin?
Well, first of all, we have a TikTok and it does fine as well. But I actually really do love TikTok, but mostly because I love new media formats. And it just feels like it's going to eat everything. This is actually where I wanted to go to, which is you make content, we make content. Throughout our careers, we've all been producers or writers or TV makers or things like that. In a world where the LLM can get better and better at writing and ultimately better and better at making things like AI video or pictures, and there are a lot of stories these days about especially creative people, more so on the animator side than on the pure creative side, who may be put out of work by this. Do you think we're going to get to a place where we're going to want to watch content made by these AIs? And if not, why not?
Good question. Especially because I am, a host sometimes. And AI hosting the news type thing is if it's fact-based, why not? That's kind of a given. Sort of the way, and I know we're talking inside baseball a little bit here, but the word predator. For anybody who doesn't know, a lot
Not
of
to
like
catch one, not to catch a predator. We're not talking about that kind of predator.
no,
This is
not that
yes,
kind of
yes.
predator. Predator being producer editor all in one, meaning the job of 3 people is now 1 person. That will continue to happen because that's just how it goes. If I don't know. If I sit down and kind of go like, all right, I've got an hour. I want to know what's, going on in Afghanistan today. I don't really care who's telling me about that as long as it's accurate. Now, if you were like, well, it used to be me and now it's, an AI version of me, I can see where that would be an issue. And so, yeah, we get into some gray areas there, but, yeah, no, I think it's fine. Accuracy, very important. Again, talking about news. We're not talking about like fun. I think when you get into like the, is Pardon the Interruption, one of my favorite shows. Is that going to be like an AI show with everybody being like as funny? I don't think we're there yet.
That's a perfect example. Like, because it's a lot of opinion and it's a lot of like news-based stuff, but then has personality attached, which I think is hard to do for AIs, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be really hard.
The expectation is that the model learns what kind of jokes you might say, So then, okay, we're getting into some weird stuff there, but we're already talking about that, with especially, with the writer strike, on the, in the forefront of our minds, the idea of, AI taking people's jobs because people are fighting for their jobs. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, yay, AI is fine, nobody cares. But I think, I think when it comes to fact-based stuff, it's the way to go. It's just the way to go.
The algorithm figuring out the next generation Coco Melon, whether it's for infants or for adults, right? Like I figured out how to pacify you based off of the sounds and the noises and the things that you want to see. That's an algorithm that I wonder if we'll be tuning into, if we'll be flicking through and just saying, okay, machine, give me the next sparkly distraction.
I mean, TikTok is already doing that to us. I also don't know who Coco Melon is.
Oh, it's Coco Melon is like Baby Einstein or Veggie Tales.
Wow,
but worse.
Veggie Tales, I know. Okay,
yeah, it's like that, but it's even, some would argue, even more insidious, that they have sort of figured out the algo for what needs to coo and how it needs to make noises.
Is it
and
Christian
what colors.
People? Are they behind
I don't think
Coco
so.
Melon?
I don't think Coco Melon has a denomination. I think Coco Melon serves all people. That's
Fine,
their
fine.
We are Coco
know.
Melon. That's what we need to discover at the end of this. Yeah.
Also, love Christian people. Just don't happen to be.
Oh, sure,
let me update the show description.
Yeah, wait, that's
I
all
had
right.
you wrong. I'm sorry, Sarah. Well, let me take that one out.
No, I'm no longer a pastor. Yeah, that's a long story.
I knocked out early at CES every single night. I realized just how ancient I've become. I could not power through, despite text messages that a Boston Dynamics dog was in the lobby, so I had to get out to the Aria. I just couldn't do it. But one thing that I did love was scrolling online from the comfort of a hotel bed and seeing AI infused into everything. And this was Gavin's question, so I hate to step on your toes, Gavin, but
please.
One thing that was announced during CES was the Rabbit R1, little red, pocket square, talk into it. It's AI on demand. We've seen Humane's AI pen. We're seeing pendants that are coming out now that record your every word so that it can be crunched into an AI database. Do you think that this AI gold rush, if you will, is going to breathe life back into new hardware? Or is Apple and Google just going to say, hey, here's an update. Goodbye, everyone. You're done. You're going to have the phone in your pocket. So we're just going to do that.
The latter. That's what I think. Now, the R1, very interesting. And enough people were interested in that they sold out of their first round of pre-orders and are doing a second round.
Mm-hmm. I think they're on the net. They just sold out their third round. So that's how many people are deep on it. Yeah.
So, a round is 5 units, though, just to be clear. They're only making 5 per round.
I think it's more than 5.
No,
but
it's more than that. I actually, and I like what they're trying to do.
Like
I like what they're trying to do.
Okay. You can sell out quick. However, and I thought a lot about this. I wasn't at CES, so I haven't seen one in person, but I was like, okay, so I'm walking the dog, I'm outside, I got my phone, I can do sort of like almost like if this then that type thing with this other hard piece of hardware that I have, but I have to put that somewhere and
pay
it's
a
a
monthly
hard
fee.
sell for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's cool, but it feels like a stopgap, right? Like all the, iOS, Apple, iOS software has to do is just like, I don't know, make that built-in better. And
Or
something
maybe
like this.
fix Siri. Maybe make Siri usable. That would be all they would have to do is make Siri usable.
Well, Gavin, my watch talks to me all the time, even when I don't want it to. But it's cool. But I'm like, it's going to be something like in a few years, we're going to be like, remember when people also had that brick to make their phones work better? Yeah. And the selling point to me, it was also a hard sell. It's like, don't you just hate apps? Wouldn't you just like another piece of hardware so you don't have to like open up all those apps? I'm like, not really. I just use the apps. That's why they're there.
And then, by the way, if you want this thing to do things that would have required apps in the past, you have to go to a web portal and log into those things and connect them to the device, or potentially record your screen and teach it how to do a thing. It isn't that less complicated than just loading an app.
I mean, it's a perfect example of, if you just like to tinker.
You want to support it because it's hackers hacking and making something cool, teenage engineering. Yeah, I love it. Great, let's push it forward. But you're really, I think you're right. It's a stopgap because the moment Apple opens the doors for that sort of AI experience on iOS, or Google does it with Android, you don't need a separate device.
I have a counterpoint. I have one counterpoint.
All
I'd
right,
like both
let's
of you
hear
to
it.
respond to it. My counterpoint is this. There's two parts to it. The first part is probably many people would have said this about a physical keyboard before the iPhone came along. And the idea that nobody would want a device without a physical keyboard because a physical keyboard was the only way they could type, and they could never imagine using a touch type screen.
100%. Yeah.
The other thing I think that's kind of interesting about this is, and Sarah, we've talked about this in the show, but like Johnny Ive and Sam Altman are in the midst of trying to make an AI piece of hardware. There is an idea that now I don't think we're even close to these apps on this thing, or whatever you want to call them, the AI agents being able to do these things. But in the future, if you can do all the stuff that you can do in apps without ever having to open one, then do you need this other device? And is it possible that this could be an actual, it could be another version of essentially an iPhone that you would replace your iPhone entirely with? That's my thing, but I still think that's probably like 2 to 4 to 5 years out from even being feasible at this point.
I even think, again, going back to my Apple Watch, when I first got this, I was like, oh, let's do like the self-service version. Let's see. Let's see how often I can comfortably be out in the world without my phone. The answer was never. Never.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
That's a good point.
It's like, we're not there yet. These sort of like, they're companion devices, and that's great. And maybe they do cool things. They don't replace the experience that we're also used to at this point, in my opinion.
I think that makes perfect sense. And I think that, like, again, this is early stages in this sort of stuff, but ultimately also maybe I think all of this ultimately becomes, if we're going to do voice or audio stuff, it lives like in some form outside of you, even not even in a physical device. And that's interesting
Put it
to
in
me.
an AirPod. Like if we're really going to make it frictionless and we're going to really, okay, fine, put it in an AirPod. And if I decide to go out without my phone, I have limited functionality. If I have my phone on me, which to your point, Sarah, I had the exact same experience. I got the LTE watch. I was like, I can kind of load Spotify on it and I'm going out for oh man, I need my phone. I'm not going to dictate this email to my wrist, but I digress. Put it in the AirPod. If not, it lives on a phone. I think that's my opinion as well.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, good. We
Sarah,
just crushed all their spirits. Cancel your pre-orders, everyone. Sorry, we've thumped this rabbit.
The
before
Vision
it came
Pro
out of
is
the
gonna
hole.
sink. No, I'm just kidding. I'm very excited about this.
Well, that's actually a good question. Like, I'm curious about that because that is like the next step of hardware. That is the same question, right? It's like you're gonna have to wear this thing, but in that instance, they're trying to put all of it here and eliminate your computer in some form or another, right? Like, is that a different version of this?
It's a different version. Now, I am, for anybody who Is this even a video podcast? Or
Yes.
just
We
for us?
should have
Okay,
made that
so-
clear in advance.
Yes.
So video.
It is a video
So
podcast.
I've got 3 MetaQuests behind me.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Where's the third one?
And a
I don't know.
Domocon. But yes,
Oh,
you
it's
have
up-
multiple
it's up.
quests.
I also have a Democon because, I'm a human. But yes, so VR, I'm very bullish on VR. I can't tell you how many times people are just like, but I don't know, you got to wear it on your face. It's like, yeah, it's cumbersome, but it's super dope if you find the app that works for you. I like workout apps. Like putting a VR headset on and working out for 30 minutes is really fun. I mean, it's way better than going to the Speakeasy Fitness. I'll tell you that much, Kevin.
I don't know. From what I've seen, those lasers make me want to go the extra rep.
This
but I
is
get
not
it.
an ad. This is not an
hashtag
ad.
not an ad for
It's clear.
Speakeasy
Not an
Fitness.
ad.
When I see pass-through video of someone doing their dishes and they've got just a YouTube video playing next to the faucet, I am jealous of that. I stopped at the Quest 2, but I see that and I go, oh, do I? Even that alone, just having your media right there is kind of a killer app for VR, XR, AR.
The questions, which are all valid, that I always get asked is like, is it heavy? And I'm like, yeah. Does it like make imprints on your face? I'm like, yeah. Like what about makeup? I'm like, totally f***ed.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's also really cool. And I was talking about VR, on TV. I'm using air quotes for years before I ever really gave it a shot. I was like, who cares? Gamers. But no, I love it. I want the Vision Pro to succeed because I feel like it will allow people to like experience what I have experienced. It's a little different because Apple wants it to be like your new office. I don't know how that's your office, but I guess if you don't have an office, it's kind of a cool idea, right? Like,
Right.
now I'm in my office. I just think like we need a couple years.
Yeah.
Get the devs to make the things, to make the killer app where people are like, oh, remember the days that we didn't have a Vision Pro? Like, I know this will happen. Well, I don't know, but I hope. But yeah, it's early days.
I think it's interesting. It goes back to the hype cycle thing, right? Like we're past the trough of disillusionment and we're kind of coming back to where like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And when that product gets to the place like ChatGPT did, and lots of people go, oh my God, I think this is incredible, then you're going to see the world change around it. I keep getting excited about what I love about the Vision Pro myself is that they're really focused on the augmented reality experience. And it feels like when you untether from that experience and bring it into the real world, that's where things are going to get both very interesting, very weird, but also really technologically fascinating, right? When you can put a layer on the real world and see the stuff in the real world. And that's where AI folds in too, because imagine a world where everybody can see AI generated whatever in front of them. That's a crazy big different world that we live in now, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, it's Minority Report. I mean, watch that movie sometime and be like, that's actually totally life. But at the time, the movie was like, whoa, imagine like going to the Gap and it being like, like a crazy AI lady telling you what to wear. We're there. So, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just checking my email and my Minority Report future.
Totally. Yeah.
Love it. Bring it. I'm happy for it.
And yeah, and my Opal is being very strange.
Yeah, so Sarah,
there we go.
Sarah,
Tell
there
us
we go.
about the hoodie and present endeavors and what's on the horizon for you.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you for asking. Okay, so this is a DTNS hoodie. DTNS stands for Daily Tech News Show, which I co-host Monday through Friday, and I have been doing so since 2017. So
Wow.
Very, very much. I am a masochist, and that's why I have to talk about technology live 5 days a week. But great show. Super fun. If you are familiar, we would love to have you along for the ride. We have a Patreon, but the show is free otherwise. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. I do a few other shows. Have Such a Good Day is a show that former colleague of all of ours, Heather Frank and I co-host
That's
together.
right. Yeah.
And I'm always looking for new projects. So Whether you're AI or human, hit me up.
Hit you up?
That's right.
All right, everybody. That is it. Today we are back. Kevin is with, this is actually, well, for the Inside Baseball, this is
Give
the
it
next
to him,
day.
Gavin.
Yeah,
Give it to him.
Kevin is not doing well, so he's here to say goodbye for the podcast episode. We do want to say before we go, thank you so much for listening. Please follow us on all our socials, subscribe. Everything, as we've said, the top of the show is going up. Plus, we have 3 new 5-star reviews from Apple Podcasts. Doing that really helps our show a lot. So Thank you so much, everybody that's done that.
I just assume that there's nobody left, that there's a massive cliff the moment we say goodbye to our guest and then all the lemmings tumble off. But the fact that somebody listened to that part and took it to heart and went to leave us a 5-star review, so we are easy to please, right? We say we will read your 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So we got 3 to rip and tear right through, starting with DJ Dano Suits. I actually recognize that username, but they say, thank you, Kevin and Gavin, for educating and entertaining me at the same time about such complex subjects. You guys make it fun to learn what can be an intimidating topic to some, especially those of us in the entertainment industry. There's no way around it. AI is going to change humanity for better or worse. I agree. Kevin and Gavin present the topic in a fun and curious fashion that's hilarious and informative. 5 stars. Thank you, DJ Dano.
I'll do the next one because this one's really all about you. This is from Fig 2004. It's called Glad to See Kevin Again. We all are.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely do this one, Gavin. Go ahead.
I'm going to assume that I'm one of the few followers of AI for Humans that remember ZDTV and grew up watching the screensavers. As of recently, I've been moving my career towards AI development, and this has been an informative and entertaining show to watch. And as I typically watch via YouTube, but it's nice to see Kevin again. I miss AOTS and find Kevin's sense of humor very entertaining. Gavin and Kevin have a good dynamic, so just watch or listen.
That. You got some flowers, buddy.
I
look
got
at
a
that.
little bit.
I want to encourage everybody to leave 5-stars reviews specifically about me and your history with me and your love of me, and then just toss in a Gavin at the end. I think that's a great review. Thank you, Fig. Last but certainly not least, Eric Hand says, I am loving this AI-focused podcast. I subscribe to several, and this one really helps explain AI for the everyday person. They make it very entertaining, and they help open your eyes to all the crazy ways AI can be used. Keep up the great work, and we will.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week with another show. And again, we appreciate you listening. Bye-bye, y'all.
Dude, I guess, we did mention that Microsoft released Copilot. Do we want to get into that?
Let's not.
We'll talk about it next week.
Kevin.
$20. You should go check it out. I have so much phlegm in and around my person that we shouldn't get into it. You're right.
Everybody's tuned out.
Go see it. Go. It's a big deal. It's $20, Gav. It's really good. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.